talked about how you talked to your guys about purging games and stuff like that, but you also said on Saturday there were some great things that y'all did and some things that you didn't do so well. Just with the emotions that surround Saturday's game, how much do you look back and take away? How much do you move forward, especially with a quick turnaround?
Probably the same. Similar to Wednesday, right? We were on the other side of it. But I think the purge is another word for cleanse. And that came up about a month ago, 6 weeks ago. And our guys have grown in that. And I've kind of followed their example. And the purge can be per possession, per ATO, per game, per result. And that's required going into tomorrow's game. And I think one of the things that we talked about yesterday when we were working is you have to purge in order to get to the next thing. You can't live in the past, even if the result was bad. We've also been on the other side of that, literally in the same week. I think in looking back, if we've played 20 games, 5 of those games we purchased. Of the remaining 15 games, 9 of those games have been decided by 1 or 2 possessions. And so 60% of our games have been exactly what happened last week in Oxford and in Austin. And we're third in the country in winning those games. So I do think there is some value in purge, the word, but also being able to make sure that our actions and our words match up. And we'll have another chance at that tomorrow. We could have easily lost this game in Norman as another example of purge. They beat us from start to finish in many respects. And so we have 11 left. And if you're basing the math on what's occurred, we probably have 5 or 6 more, just like what we lived through last week. And so how can our response get to the next thing in a mature way, even if the result is disheartening like it was Saturday or exhilarating like it was on Wednesday?
Buzz, are you glad that it's a quick turnaround? Or, sometimes coaches say they want as much time to prepare as possible.
Yeah, I think the thing that I'm struggling with, and I've mentioned it to you guys, I think our guys are probably handling it fine. The change per week, we're starting week 5, and every week our week has been different in SEC play. And maybe it only matters to me, but when you play Wednesday, Saturday, and then the following week you play Tuesday, Saturday, and the following week you play Wednesday, Saturday, that means your organization is working 9 consecutive days in a row. And I like to work, but for instance, we play in Oxford on Wednesday, so that meant our off day that week was Sunday. So we were off Sunday. We work Monday, we work Tuesday, travel to Oxford, work Wednesday, get home at 4 a.m, have to work Thursday, work Friday, travel to Austin Friday, play Saturday. But because this week we're playing Tuesday, that means we have to work Sunday, we have to work Monday, and we have to work tomorrow, obviously. So the 9 days, as far as the quick turnaround, I think it's the 3 games in 9 days element, especially when 2 of them are on the road. I think you have to be precise in your reps physically and be succinct in what you want them to know mentally. I don't necessarily feel as though my answer, Olin, is based on the result. Like if we would have won, would it have been good to be off on Sunday? Or if we would have lost, let's hurry up and play on Tuesday. I think it's more just how we go about preparing. So we'll be off on Wednesday, and that will have been 9 days that we've worked, and we'll all be tired on Wednesday and ready for a day off.
Are there any specific things from that second half that when you play tomorrow night where you're saying, hey, these are things specifically that we want to work on to get better for this game?
Yeah, 2 things that we've really been trying to focus on, and we've had drastic improvement, credit to our guys and our coaches. We've really tried to improve our defensive rebounding since Alabama here when they were mean to us on the glass, at Kentucky when we did a poor job. We have went from 223rd in defensive rebounding to in the hundreds. We've made drastic improvement. After LSU, we added to that defend without fouling. We've made drastic improvements. Those are the two things that have, the two categories that have kept our defense from being distinctly top 10 as opposed to borderline top 10, fouling too much, not finishing the possession with the rebound. In the first half at Texas, they made 0 points from the free throw line. In the second half, they scored 14 points from the free throw line. That would be one thing from the second half. We have to continue to defend without fouling. 14 points and a half. That was 30% of their points were from the free throw line. Some of those are technicals, but we need to continue to defend without fouling. That would be the one thing I would say from the second half.
You kind of mentioned at Saturday after the game too, on the offensive side. How much is the offensive block percentage a concern, or is that some that because of some of the other things in the formula you kind of mitigate?
Some of it's mitigated. That's the right, really well worded question. Two things. You know this because you track it. So in the league, we're fourth at getting to the rim. Tremendous. That would be a characteristic, I think, that we've been in the mix for all 6 years. Fourth in the league in getting fouled. Tremendous. Low for us. We're normally one nationally. What's hurting us is we're last in finishing at the rim, and we're last in free throw percentage. So we need to improve both of those. A part of being last in finishing at the rim is if you shoot it and it's blocked, it still counts as a shot attempt. So some of that's intermingled. We're doing a better job getting it to the glass. Throwing it to Gochi has for sure helped us statistically in some ways. It didn't bear that on Saturday at the rate that it has. But we need to finish over contact with contact. And then when we get fouled, we need to shoot a higher percentage. To your question on Saturday, we only shot 8. But no matter how many you shoot, that's probably a conversation for somebody other than me to have. But you still want to make more than 3, particularly when it's a buzzer beater by 1. And so, like, you can find so many things to Olin's question, like, what one thing? Oh, there's 12 things. I'll give you one for the article, but there's 12 things on, like, we can't give them 14 points from the free throw line. Okay, we'll take away the technicals. Yeah, that would help. Don't go 3 of 8 from the free throw line. That would help. Don't the one guy that shows up occasionally, whatever that guy's name is, that asked me about the block shots. Like, yeah, you're right. We can't have 9 blocks. We need 5 blocks. You know, like there's multiple things that lead to losing, multiple things that lead to winning. And I think our guys, because of their maturity, because of their experience, but also because of their IQ, they're very aware of our formula, so to say. And I do think the numbers will begin to tilt our way as long as we continue to give credence, just like defensive rebounding. We've improved over 100 teams in the last 4 games. We've improved like 65 teams in fouling. Like, we have to specifically concentrate on those things, give pictures to it, give numbers to it, practice it, and I think it'll, over the next 5 weeks, it'll improve.
You said, hopefully the numbers will kind of, sort itself out, help it. With the free throw percentage, is there signs in practice that gives you confidence that?
Yeah, if you came to practice, you would not think that we have the yips in a game. Yeah, and so then it becomes like psychology. Do you talk about it? Should we have a prayer session? Should we anoint you with oil? Or, in our program, Hey man, if you step to the line, be tough enough to shoot it and make it. And if you're having some mental fatigue, make it before you shoot it in your mind. And so that's probably too harsh in 2025 to say privately or publicly, but that's what we say.
It's been a day and a half now. Just what are you been satisfied with the response from you guys so far, and just what has the response been?
They've been tremendous. We've played 9 games, 1 or 2 possession, and we're 6-3. That's better than we've ever been thus far through the 3rd week of January. That's more stress than we've ever been through. I think their character, I think who they are, I think the relationships between them and us is as good as you'll find. They want to win. They don't want to be up 22 and lose. They understand playing Texas is important. They understood what happened when we played them here. They understood what was going on at halftime. They received everything I said at halftime, everything I said post-game. I'm probably too transparent with you and all of you. What I say to you is pretty much what I say to them. Hey, man, Buzz, can you believe that Jace is shooting 45% from the free throw line? No. Entering this year, he's shooting 73%. What's wrong? He's got the yips. Oh, what do? Well, we're not prescribing medicine, so we just tell the truth. Do you practice free throw shooting? Yes. Buzz, are you in charge of free throw shooting? I am. You know, we just don't dodge what it is. And that doesn't mean sarcastically. That doesn't mean condescending. Every game means a lot. And if you're not in the arena, that game on Saturday means more. I understand. And at the end of the day, no matter what the setup is, I'm never going to blame our guys. And I'm going to take every arrow and any opinion that comes my way because I think that that's what I'm supposed to do. Our guys have incredible character. They're really good people. They're trying really hard. We're 12th in the country in numbers that matter. That's the highest this program has ever been. And we're about to play 11 more quad 1 or quad 2 games. And no matter who's playing here or who's coaching here, if we get to the conference tournament and we've played 27 quad 1 or quad 2 games, I don't think that'll ever happen here again because it's a lot. And only this group, in my opinion, that I've been around in my career could absorb all of that. And like I told them yesterday, I kind of went through some of what I'm saying to you. And I said, now here, are we going to lose Tuesday because we lost Saturday? Or are we going to win Tuesday because of how we handled Saturday? And you could also say, did we lose Saturday because of how we won Wednesday? Because what was happening for us on Saturday was a little bit of what was happening for Ole Miss on Wednesday. Same thing happened last time we played Oklahoma. Down 18, I think we were down 9 or 10 at half. Down 18 with 17 to play. Our guys aren't going to quit. We should never think that it's going to reverse and everybody's just going to stop. You got to keep going.
As you just mentioned a second ago, how every game's so big. I guess I want to ask you, is the importance of this next game magnified at all? Just to, when you have a disappointment like that, is the importance magnified to bounce back quick? Or is it just, hey, it's a big game no matter what the situation is?
Probably both. Probably both. I think you could probably study this even thus far in SEC play. Like, you're probably going to lose. Auburn may not lose. But if you look at what's transpired through the first 4 weeks, everybody's lost. And so as you start filtering through it, who's lost more than once in a row? Who's lost more than twice in a row? Who's lost more than 3 times in a row? who has won one game in January. Like you start seeing those trends, so to say. And I think when the margin is so thin and you're playing, I told you before we left on Friday, whatever the line's going to be, it's going to be a possession. Well, that was the line, and that was the result. We wish it was the other side of the line, but to your point, Olin, I think you have to have great value to each game, and so your response, even when it's a positive one, you have to have the maturity required to get to the next one, and even when the response from a bad one, the same maturity is required. You do want to bounce back, and you want to see if you can flip it back. And that's why you always hear all those coaches say, we just want to go 1-0, because you have to stay locked into what it is.
The last time you played Oklahoma, that was when Zurich had, his season high and that comeback is.
I thought you were going to talk about number 2, his career high. Number 2 for them?
Yeah.
What number is Zoo for us? One for us and 2 for them.
Yeah. They both, it was both sides had a player go off. I guess, is there something favorable about that matchup? And then now it's going to be kind of a different wrinkle, not having Wade last time. I mean, how much do you look at that matchup and going into?
I did think Zoo played well, and we needed him to play incredibly well for us to have a chance. And 2 was on a heater of all heaters. I think he scored 9 points in transition, 34. I think he scored 24 out of their 46 shots were from 3. We fouled them way too much. They made 14 free throws in the game. We gave Texas 14 and a half. But I would say it'll be a little different in regards to 4 makes our team different. What are their adjustments? We don't know yet. But as far as how they play, number 14's averaging 20 and 8 since we played them. Dramatically different in those 4 games since we've played them. 0, maybe freshman of the year in the country, but since we played them, he's averaging 13, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. And then the variety of how coach is using his roster is a little different than it was in game number 2. So they've played 6. They've already had their bye. So I think they've changed, and maybe a couple of players are playing more/better, more aggressive. And I think they're utilizing their roster a little different over the last 2.5 weeks than they did in that particular game.
Speaking as a head coach, playing a team for the second time, can you kind of speak about how do you make adjustments, when you're going to pose something or versus another team?
Well, when I first started my career, everybody was home and home. And this is the least number of mirror games in my career. I enjoy it because of the question, like just the potential strategy, similar to what he just asked, like, this is what they did the first time. What are you going to do the second time? What do you think he's going to do the second time? How do you practice that? Some of that goes into Olin's question, like we're only practicing once because of the turnaround. But we always diagnose our game first and have evidence from that. And then we leave that alone and watch the last 5 games. Now, obviously, they've only had 4 games since we last played them. And then we kind of intermingle that information. And that's why some of the things that I mentioned in the last question, they are different. 14's playing at an all-league level. And 0 has accrued all of that throughout the year. And 2 had a special night against us. But how they're using their roster is a little different. A lot of the stuff that they're doing off ball screens, the way they attacked us and our defense, some of that doesn't apply to the other teams they've played. So we just kind of intermingle all of it and then try to be prepared for whatever our changes were and whatever we want to be ready to do relative to what we think they'll do.
Has Wade kind of,
Oh, good.
has Wade kind of gotten his swagger back a little bit with what he did against Texas? Making
I thought he played really well. Like I think as gifted as he is and as smart as he is, he has really good humility. He's not a very braggadocious, look at me kind of guy, but he has an innate confidence. And I think when you miss physical reps, if me and you miss walking or training today, it catches up with us pretty fast at our age. But I think when you're competing at this level and you miss 13 days, there's no way to replicate that, no matter how smart you are and no matter how gifted you are. I do think that he played really well. I think his wind is back. I think his pace is back. And I think that's important for us as we go into the week.
Within your system and the roles that you have on defense and rebounding, is there a scenario where you could have Zurich, Manny, and Wade all on the floor? Is that too much of the same thing that it would mess up the cogs? of the system?
We obviously, we did that last year down the stretch, some boots in place of Zoo, and then we did some of that at Ole Miss. I think for sure all three of those guys can play together. Defensively, when the ball is on the ground, they can all do the same thing. We are going to lose some level of rebounding, probably on both ends. And so I think we have to kind of be aware time, score, momentum, and what opportunities are in front of us. Playing from behind at Ole Miss in a very short amount of time, that probably was the right decision. All three of those guys have some similarities in how they can score, but personally, I think they also have a little bit of difference in how they can score. And that's probably the best we've scored it in conference play in regards to fluidity, efficiency, shot selection. I thought it was all really smooth for us, and all three of those guys played a part in that. All three of those guys specifically have got to be a part of finishing better at the rim. They know that. Gochi can't go 3 of 10. He's only going to shoot it in the charge circle. But up until Saturday, he had been shooting 82%. Credit Texas. But we need to be better in the charge circle because those 4 guys, stereotypically speaking, those are going to be the guys that accumulate the most free throw makes for us. So we need those guys to get fouled. When they don't get fouled, score at a higher rate in the charge circle and shoot a higher percentage from the free throw line. 4's among the best to ever play here, so he's kind of exempt from the free throw percentage deal. But if you look at all of the levers, our defense is top 10, our offense is top 40. What do we do best? Well, offensively, we're best at offensive rebounding. There's a variety of things that we do pretty good defensively. What is it that we do worst? Well, it was defensive rebounding, and we're trying to bring that up. But the things that are dragging the top 40 offense into being top 25, which is what we were last year, is effective field goal percentage, where you don't have a team full of gunners, so it's never going to be pretty. But we trick the numbers by points per possession because we get fouled. And our free throw percentage has to improve to get our PPP up. And we need to shoot a higher percentage when we're shooting layups.
Wade is a steal away from 200.
He
in
is?
his career, yeah.
Where would that ranking?
He'd be the third ever to do it.
Yeah, I didn't know that about 4.
So, I mean, just we know how you feel about him, but what does it just speak to about his consistency and hustle?
I think the thing that I'm most grateful for among the lessons that I've learned from him and his parents, just the consistency that he's had. The consistent character, graduating 3 years, zero drama ever off the floor. They don't even ask me anymore when people want him to speak. Like, he just handles it on his own. And I think to have played as many games as he's played at this level and been as good as he has been, that he's only missed 4 games is remarkable. And we all remember those 4 games because 3 of them happened in 2 weeks. But to be able to do that from start to finish and be as good as he's been, I think that's why he's top 10 in nearly every category that matters. And his consistency, along with his talent, but without his consistency, he wouldn't be in the position that he's in.